Imagine having a microphone so powerful, right, that you just mentioned a musician casually in passing, and their streaming numbers instantly spike by like 350%.
Yeah, I mean, that is not just influence. That is market-moving gravity. It's the kind of reach traditional media executives spend billions trying to manufacture, and they almost always fail.
Right, and that staggering 350% spike actually happened to John Mayer.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah, Spotify's CEO even came out on record and credited a single creator with driving a 27% surge in young female monthly active users across their entire platform.
Which is just, I mean, that's an astonishing metric for one individual to carry.
Totally.
When one person moves the needle for a multi-billion dollar, publicly traded tech company, you are looking at a fundamental shift in how media is consumed.
And that individual is Alex Cooper. So welcome to today's deep dive. We are looking at a really sprawling stack of sources today.
Yeah, we've got a lot to get through.
We do. We're pulling from rigorous business analyses, leaked Reddit threads, industry exposés, and the really sweeping announcements from YouTube's 2026 Brandcast.
Right, and our mission here is to analyze the meteoric rise, the very recent public stumbles, and honestly, the unprecedented 2026 strategic pivot of Alex Cooper's Unwell Network.
Exactly. We are exploring the actual blueprint of building a creator-led media empire.
And we'll look at the explosive behind-the-scenes fiction that's currently threatening its foundation, right?
Right, and how Cooper is basically attempting to completely redefine modern television as we know it.
It's huge.
It is. And because I find this story absolutely fascinating, we really need to frame it correctly right off the bat. Like, this isn't just internet drama.
No, not at all.
It's a real-time case study in the modern attention economy. Now, if you are listening to this, you likely already know the origin story,
Right, the Call Her Daddy podcast.
Exactly. It became a cultural juggernaut, capturing this highly coveted demographic of highly educated, high-earning women, the #4 podcast in the U.S.
Yeah, but we need to look at what that demographic capture actually bought her.
Right. What did it get her?
It bought her a massive war chest, specifically a 3-year, $125 million deal with SiriusXM in late 2024.
Let that sink in for a second. $125 million for an audio deal.
It's wild.
But she didn't just bank it. She and her husband, Hollywood producer Matt Kaplan, formed Trending Media, which operates publicly as the Unwell Network.
Right.
And the sheer audacity of the expansion they attempted, that's what really stands out in these sources. They didn't just launch a few spin-off podcasts.
No, we're looking at a massive, sprawling physical and digital footprint.
Yeah. Unwell Beverages, a limited apparel line at Target, live physical events.
Like the Unwell Vegas Festival, right? That
Yeah.
drew 2,800 paying fans.
Yes. And SiriusXM even handed over Channel 3 entirely for Unwell Music.
Plus, they launched the Unwell Creative Agency, basically bypassing traditional ad agencies altogether.
Oh, wow. Right.
And they secured a multi-year agreement with Google right out of the gate. The campaign for the Google Pixel 10 was written by, directed by, and starred Cooper herself.
So they were basically attempting to build a Disney-level media conglomerate off the back of a single podcast feed.
Exactly.
So think about your local shopping mall, right? I look at Unwell, and I see that exact model.
Okay, yeah.
Alex Cooper is the anchor store. She's the Macy's or the Nordstrom. She is the singular entity driving all the foot traffic into the building.
Right, that makes sense.
But looking at these sources, a question keeps coming up for me. Like, she has 50 million people engaging daily across her network. But how much of that foot traffic is actually transferable to the smaller boutique stores in the mall?
That's the big question.
Right. Like, can you genuinely just hand your audience over to another creator?
Well, that brings us to a crucial industry concept known as creator gravity.
Creator gravity. Okay.
Yeah, the entire economic strategy of Unwell was to institutionalize a digital audience. If Alex is the sun, the strategy is to take her immense gravity and try to pull other talented creators into a stable, profitable orbit.
Right. So they brought in personalities like Harry Jowsey for the podcast Boyfriend Material.
Exactly. And Madeline Argy for Pretty Lonesome.
Right.
The overarching business goal is to prove the company has a heartbeat independent of the founder,
But looking at the engagement data in our sources, does that actually work? Like, is it successful?
Historically, it is profoundly difficult. The data shows that while the broader network generates significant social media impressions, the actual commercial footprint, right? Like the merchandise sales, the premium ad rates, the sustained listenership, It's still dangerously concentrated on that anchor store.
Why is that, though? Like, why could NBC in the 1990s seamlessly hand an audience from Friends over to Seinfeld, but a podcast network struggles to do the same exact thing?
It comes down to the mechanics of a parasocial relationship.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, when you listen to a podcast host for hundreds of hours, your brain chemically processes them as a friend. You aren't tuning in for a fictional narrative, you know? You're
Right.
tuning in for intimacy.
Right, you're hanging out with them.
Exactly. You cannot artificially hand a best friend over to a stranger.
Hmm.
People tune in for the specific host, not the network logo in the corner of the thumbnail.
But that shopping mall model fundamentally assumes the other creators are happy just being stores in someone else's building.
Right.
And as we saw with their highest profile acquisition, Gen Z creators eventually realize they're big enough to be their own mall.
Oh.
We have to talk about Alex Earle,
Oh, we definitely do. Unwell signed TikTok megastar Alex Earle to host her podcast, Hot Mess.
which was huge at the time.
It was a seismic acquisition. It signaled to the industry that Unwell was the premium destination for Gen Z talent. But in February 2025, Earle suddenly departed from the network.
And it was a spectacularly public fallout.
It really was.
Like, Earle reposted a video that called Cooper an ambulance chaser and a grim reaper who profits off women's struggles.
Wow.
Yeah, and Cooper fired back directly on TikTok, challenging Earle to speak openly, specifically pointing out there was no non-disclosure agreement holding her back.
It escalated so much, it was even parodied on Saturday Night Live in May of 2026.
That's when you know it's hit the mainstream.
Right. The cultural noise was deafening, but the business consequences were what truly threatened the foundation. Following that drama, SiriusXM actually withdrew ad support for Hot Mess.
Oh, wow.
And it wasn't an isolated programming stumble. Unwell had 3 other newly launched podcasts completely canceled within a single year in 2025.
Wait, I have to interrupt here because looking at this structurally, right? If I'm a Gen Z creator like Alex Earle, and I already have 10 million followers on TikTok,
Right?
why do I need Unwell at all? Like, I already own my distribution. If you already have the audience, why sign away a percentage of your revenue to a network?
Well, that is the structural tension defining the modern creator economy.
Yeah.
What you are identifying is a massive collision between creator autonomy and network oversight.
Okay. Unpack that a bit.
So 20 years ago, talent needed the network because the network owned the radio tower or the television frequency, right?
Right.
Today, the creator is the tower.
Exactly.
So when creators join a network now, they are terrified of losing their authenticity. That raw, unfiltered, slightly chaotic connection is the exact trait that built their fame in the first place.
Yes, exactly.
So the moment they feel a corporate entity is sanitizing their content or controlling their brand partnerships or extracting value without providing an equal return in production quality or reach, they just bolt.
That makes total sense.
Yeah.
And if we push that creator gravity metaphor further, if Alex Cooper is the sun pulling people into orbit, what happens when a creator like Alex Earle gets big enough?
Right.
She develops her own gravity. Suddenly you have 2 suns colliding, and the orbit entirely destabilizes.
Precisely. And adding to that instability, there is a deep irony in the sources regarding how this network was actually managed.
Oh yeah, the internal stuff.
Right. A creator who became famous for raw, uncensored authenticity attempted to build a corporate structure that demanded heavily sanitized compliance from its new talent.
Which perfectly leads us to the internal operations, because the friction wasn't just external talent.
No, it wasn't.
According to some major exposés in our sources, it stems directly from the company's internal culture. Like, the tension of trying to build a corporate empire out of unfiltered internet personalities resulted in some deeply concerning workplace allegations.
Yes, it did. Industry reports, leaked Reddit threads from former staff, and a really comprehensive piece in Vanity Fair have painted a very chaotic picture of the work environment at Unwell.
Yeah, the details are pretty rough.
And these allegations specifically center on the executive leadership, namely Cooper's husband and co-CEO, Matt Kaplan, and the chief brand officer, TJ Marchetti.
So before we get into the what of the allegations, I want to understand the why. Like, why does a digital-first Gen Z podcast company hire legacy Hollywood executives to run its day-to-day operations?
Honestly, it's the panic of rapid scaling.
Okay, that makes sense.
When a digital star goes from recording in their bedroom to running a $100 million conglomerate virtually overnight, they realize they lack the operational infrastructure.
Right, they don't know how to run a massive company.
Exactly. They don't have human resources, finance departments, or large-scale production logistics. So they reflexively hire traditional Hollywood executives to build the engine.
Right, because that's what they know.
Yeah. Matt Kaplan comes from Ace Entertainment. He is steeped in traditional film and television production.
But the sources allege that mapping a 1980s Hollywood management playbook onto a modern digital workforce completely fractured the company culture.
Completely. The legacy Hollywood model is famously hierarchical. It relies on, paying your dues, grueling hours, and often a really aggressive top-down communication style.
Yeah.
When you apply that to a Gen Z digital company built on collaborative, empathetic workplace expectations and mental health awareness, it just breaks.
Yeah, the details in the Vanity Fair piece are jarring. Like, the sources allege Kaplan brought a bare-knuckle, intimidation-based style to the office.
Right.
We are talking about allegations of him frequently yelling at staff, calling employees stupid, and actively threatening to ruin their Hollywood careers if they crossed him.
It's intense.
And there was a specific incident cited on the set of their reality show, the Unwell Winter Games, where his reprimands reportedly left a veteran crew member in tears.
Yeah, and the allegations extend to the chief brand officer, too, TJ Marchetti.
Right.
Former employees described overly aggressive management tactics that felt completely out of step with the brand's public image. There were reports of him flirting uncomfortably with young fans at live events. And perhaps most egregiously, he allegedly requested that promotional photos be deleted from the network's official Instagram account because he personally deemed the employees and contractors in the photos to be unattractive.
See, the hypocrisy here is what I find most fascinating from a brand vulnerability standpoint.
Totally.
You have an empire built entirely on female empowerment, Gen Z mental health advocacy, and this pervasive ethos of being a daddy, which is their term for being confident, independent, and fiercely in control of your own life.
Right.
Yet, according to these reports, the actual day-to-day operations are allegedly being run by men using archaic, toxic intimidation tactics.
It creates a severe cognitive dissonance for the audience. Like, a brand can survive a bad business quarter, but it struggles to survive a total betrayal of its core values. It becomes a huge liability.
So put yourself in their shoes for a second. Your audio-only space is highly volatile, your network talent is rebelling because they own their own distribution, and your internal culture is hemorrhaging credibility due to workplace exposés.
Not a great spot to be in.
No. Plus, you're hitting the natural economic ceiling of podcast advertising.
Yeah.
What is the survival tactic?
Well, you abandon the traditional audio format entirely. Unwell decided to make a really calculated move to visually dominate the living room.
Enter the 2026 YouTube Brandcast Upfronts in New York. And if you aren't familiar with the term, upfronts are the historic events where traditional television networks present their upcoming shows to advertisers to sell commercial time for the year.
Right. It's a huge industry tradition.
But YouTube hosting an upfront is a massive statement. They're basically telling advertisers, we are no longer competing with TV, we are TV.
And the statistics presented in the sources are just undeniable. YouTube has been the #1 platform in streaming watch time for 3 consecutive years.
Wow.
More importantly, their connected TV or CTV conversions are up 250% year over year.
Wait, explain CTV real quick.
Yeah, CTV just means people watching YouTube on the actual television set in their living room rather than on their phone. YouTube essentially owns the biggest screen in the house now.
Right. And Alex Cooper took that stage to announce a complete television takeover. Unwell unveiled a sprawling new YouTube slate.
Yeah, we aren't talking about 2 people sitting at microphones in a dimly lit studio anymore.
It's not at all. They announced Unwell Games Season 2, which is a fully produced reality competition series. They announced Pot Stirrers, described as a Traitors-style social experiment.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and they're doing a glossy docuseries called Before the Steps, following creators getting ready for the Met Gala. And she is even launching her first scripted microdrama called Holiday Hard Launch.
It is a total transformation from a podcast network to a full-scale production studio.
Yeah.
And the reason YouTube is the chosen lifeboat really comes down to the underlying economics of advertising.
Right. The money.
Always the money. Podcast ad rates are plateauing because of oversaturation and tracking difficulties. Advertisers want to know if their ad actually led to a sale. So YouTube introduced Buy with Google Pay directly on connected TVs.
That's huge. Think about your own habits, right? Picture yourself watching YouTube on your living room TV.
Okay.
Suddenly, a product appears on screen, and with 2 clicks of your remote, it is purchased and shipped. That frictionless moment is exactly what Unwell is banking on.
Precisely. And YouTube also launched an affiliate partnerships boost.
What's that do?
Well, the data YouTube presented showed that when viewers see a creator visually talk about a product, they are 13 times more likely to search for it and 5 times more likely to actually buy it compared to traditional advertising.
I mean, that conversion rate is a marketer's dream.
Exactly.
It completely bypasses the friction of audio ads where you have to hope the listener remembers a promo code while they are driving their car.
Right. Nobody remembers the promo codes.
No. And during this pivot, Cooper gave a quote that really stood out to me in the sources. She said, "That's the thing nobody tells you. You don't have to convince the gatekeepers anymore."
Yeah, that's a bold statement.
It is. She explicitly noted that if she had waited on a traditional TV deal, traditional Hollywood executives would kill her shows by trying to clean them up in endless development meetings.
Well, it is a powerful sentiment about creative control,
Yeah.
and preserving that raw connection with the audience.
Sure, but I want to push back on that idea of total independence because it feels a bit like an illusion.
Oh, so.
Like, yes, she is completely abandoning the traditional radio tower to build her own uncensorable television network. But is she really achieving independence? Or is she just trading one corporate overlord, like Spotify and SiriusXM, for an even bigger, more powerful corporate overlords in Alphabet and Google?
That is such a good point. It raises a profound question about platform reliance. Ultimately, she does not own the algorithm, right?
Exactly.
However, from a strategic business perspective, YouTube is the only logical move right now.
Yeah, that's true.
It offers direct-to-consumer video that entirely bypasses the distribution hurdles of the podcast market. It allows for real-time audience feedback in the comments, which fuels engagement.
Right.
And crucially, it integrates that high-converting commerce seamlessly into the content itself. By moving to visual reality TV and scripted formats, she is actively insulating her business from the extreme volatility of her current audio model.
It's a fascinating pivot. You hit a wall in audio, so you evolve into producing reality television for the internet's biggest screen.
Exactly. And that brings us to the ultimate paradox of the creator economy, which is highlighted right in our sources.
Yeah.
During her recent interviews, Alex Cooper stated, "Companies outlive personalities."
Right.
She is desperately trying to build an infrastructure, a network, an agency, a production studio that can survive without her having to be on the microphone or in front of the camera every single day.
But if your entire company's cultural fluency, its brand identity, and its primary value proposition are directly tied to your highly specific, unfiltered personality.
Yeah.
Sorry, what happens to the empire the day you decide to log off? Can the anchor store close its doors without the whole shopping mall going bankrupt?
Well, it's the existential question for every creator-led business. If the sun burns out, the orbit collapses.
And that is exactly what we want to ask you. We want to hear from you down in the comments. Do you think creator-led networks like Unwell can actually survive without their founding stars? Or are they destined to fade when the main host steps back? Let us know your thoughts. We genuinely read through them.
It is a debate that will absolutely define the next decade of media and entertainment.
Without a doubt. And listen, if you enjoyed this deep dive, please hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss a video. It really helps tell the YouTube algorithm that people enjoy this kind of in-depth content, and it pushes it out to more curious minds just like yours. Thank you so much for taking this deep dive into the sources with us today. Until next time, keep questioning the media you consume. And remember, the people holding the most powerful microphones are still entirely reliant on your attention.